Yeah, really nice jump run. I will not be unboxing the boxed ones in this video, but you can imagine it's just a little grey cartridge like the rest of them. Yeah, really neat game. They are in no particular order, but they are still kind of in some weird order. I don't know how to explain this, but yeah, just well, it doesn't matter. So this is a pretty beat up copy of Super Mario Land, obviously, and I'm not a huge fan of this game, to be honest. It's not your typical Mario game. First of all, I think it looks really bad. I mean, I usually don't care about graphics, and I mean, we're talking about the Game Boy, but it just doesn't give me the Super Mario feel. So I'm not a major fan of this. This is Wario Land, Super Mario Land 3, and I didn't have this as a kid. I didn't have most of my games as a kid because, well, I was a kid and I didn't really have a lot of money, so I couldn't buy games. And yeah, I basically got into collecting when I was an adult and when I could actually afford these games. And the best thing about collecting for the Game Boy is that the games are, or most of the games are, ridiculously inexpensive at the moment. So if you want to get into collecting Game Boy games, or for the Game Boy in general, I definitely recommend doing it now, because games are usually not getting cheaper. So yeah, it's really good to start now. So this is again Wario Land, and Wario is a pretty popular character these days, but he had his first appearance in the predecessor, which was Super Mario Land 2. This is actually the first game, or the second game that Wario appeared in, as far as I know. I have some weird love-hate relationship with Wario, because I didn't really like him as a kid, because, well, he was the end boss in Super Mario Land 2, but I used him in Mario Kart 64 as my main character when I started the game, because I thought he was the easiest to control. I later on switched to Tone, and I still use him, but I still have this weird attachment to Wario when it comes to Mario Kart. So yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Wario unless it comes to Mario Kart, and I've never really liked that game. It just wasn't Super Mario Land 2, so that's why I didn't really like it, I guess. I don't know. Wario Land 2. This is a black cartridge simply because it is classic mode, which is basically, well, the traditional game, and also a modern mode in which the games are a bit remade and they just look nicer and play a bit better. And I really love these games. The second one is my favorite. I actually had this as a kid, boxed, but I don't know she did. I don't know. This is a copy of Pokemon Gold. By the way, second generation is probably my favorite. I got this on a flea market not too long ago, maybe 6 years ago. It was basically dirt cheap. It was like $10, and it's complete. It's boxed, and this is so awesome. I'm so glad I picked this up. I went to uni at the time, and money was tight, so I was actually considering not getting it, but I'm so glad I did, because these games are expensive. I'm actually trying to build a full box collection of the Pokemon main series games. I'm missing Blue. I have a loose copy, but I don't have the box, and I'm missing Crystal. I think I don't have a box version of Emerald, and I'm missing a couple of the newer ones. I think White, X, and Sun, but other than that, I have a pretty solid collection of the main series Pokemon games. Okay, here is an absolutely fantastic game. The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. This is the DX version, which was the version for the Game Boy Color. It's a black cartridge, so it runs on both Game Boys, but there is an additional dungeon that relies on colors, so you might have a bit of trouble if you're playing this on a regular Game Boy. There is a Game Boy version of this too. It does not have the color dungeon in it. That was actually my version that I had as a kid. This is also here in this pile of games. This is a version I got later on. I've never played it, but I played the original without the colored dungeon. Fantastic game. Oh, by the way, oh god, I know I will get so much flack for this, but I think this is better than A Link to the Past. Don't kill me. It was my first Zelda game, so it's probably just because speaking of Zelda, here are Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons, and these are really, well, not really expensive, but quite expensive. I wish I had them boxed, but they are really expensive boxed, so I don't have them boxed. The thing is, this is a Game Boy Color game. These do not work on a regular Game Boy. They do work on a Game Boy Advance though, but this is a whole different story. You can actually see the battery in here. I was talking about earlier. The Pokemon games have them, Zelda games have them. So if it's dry, then you cannot save. And your save game gets deleted, unfortunately. So Oracle of Ages and Seasons were actually developed by Capcom, believe it or not. I got them a couple of years ago, Kirby's Dream Land. Just a neat little Kirby jump and run. Kirby is actually white on the cover art because I think the artist only had, I think, screenshots from the game, and because this wasn't colored, he didn't know that Kirby was actually pink, so he just drew him white. It's actually really neat. I like the white one. I do not have, there's a sequel, Kirby's Dream Land 2. I do not have this. It's actually, well, not too expensive, I think around $15, but haven't really gotten around to buying it yet. There is a Game Boy Advance game called Kirby's, I think, Return to Dreamland, or something like that. I do have that one for the Advance. Here we have Kid Icarus. Here we have the Japanese copies of Pokemon Red and Blue. This is a bit unfortunate actually, because in Japan there was a green version at first. There was red and green, and when they were released in Europe and North America, they kind of revamped the game and they made Pokemon Blue. They added this to the Japanese games. The weird part about Red and Green is that they have completely different sprites from the European version and this one, if I remember correctly. Some of them are just so ugly.